The film unfolds in 2039, an era where Earth has turned into a hostile environment due to alarmingly depleted oxygen levels. The globe is barren of vegetation, urban areas have morphed into abandoned wastelands, and a scarce population survives globally, relying on oxygen masks linked to oxygen cylinders. In Brooklyn, Darius, an engineer, departs from his family's refuge to service the solar panels. Concurrently, his father embarks on a trip to a bookstore to procure fresh reading materials for his granddaughter. Regrettably, his father steps on rotten wood and plummets through the floor, leaving him suspended from the reception ceiling. The fall results in damage to his oxygen pack, leading to breathing difficulties. Darius, alerted by the noise over the communication system, hastens to the bookstore. Despite his attempts, he is unable to extricate his father from the hole. He resorts to an alternative method by ascending upstairs to pull him out by his feet, but it's too late. His father has already succumbed. Darius retreats to the shelter and imparts the sorrowful news to his wife, Maya, and her daughter, Zora. Owing to Darius's engineering prowess and Maya's agricultural knowledge, the shelter has ample oxygen and plants to maintain a relatively comfortable existence. Darius voices his desire to enter his father next to his mother in a graveyard situated over 5 miles away. Zora opposes due to the potential hazards, but Darius pacifies her, stating they haven't encountered anyone in 3 years. In the evening, after the others have retired to bed, Darius conducts maintenance on the machine that keeps the shelter functional. He discovers that the oxygen reserve will deplete in another 2 months. The computer also signals that the system has been breached, leaving Darius with a tough decision to make. The following morning, Darius bids adieu to Zora, gifting her the book her grandfather had selected for her. Zora observes Darius depart with his father's body on the security camera. She utilizes the radio to attempt to keep in touch with him, narrating random anecdotes, including how he had anticipated the oxygen shortage and constructed the shelter timely. Regrettably, Darius never replies, and 5 months elapse without any news from him. Maya and Zora strive to survive independently, assuming the responsibility of maintaining the device. They always carry a firearm when they venture outside, but Maya becomes agitated whenever Zora wanders too far alone. Fortunately, the shelter has a sturdy steel door and a password lock, offering them a sense of security. They keep each other company as much as possible, but Darius's absence is profoundly felt during tranquil moments. Zora remains optimistic and continues to transmit messages through the radio, sharing family memories from before the apocalypse. Maya also remains resolute, frequently venturing outside to sow seeds in the hope that they will sprout one day. She also simulates errors on the computer to instruct Zora on how to troubleshoot potential issues. Occasionally, Zora expresses her wish to go out and search for her father, but Maya reminds her of her previous unsuccessful attempts and prohibits Zora from departing. This often leads to disputes between them. One afternoon, after completing their maintenance work, they spot 2 strangers approaching with a shopping cart. They swiftly conceal themselves behind an old car and observe as the strangers attempt to infiltrate the shelter. The strangers fail to gain entry, but it's peculiar that they knew precisely which door to try. At that moment, Maya and Zora's system alerts them about their oxygen levels, and one of the strangers, Tess, hears the noise. She commences a search for them with her weapon drawn, while her partner, Lucas, ascends to the roof to search for other entrances. Tess cautiously approaches the car, but doesn't locate the women. Suddenly, she hears Lucas attempting to alert her of something on the radio, but it's too late. Maya and Zora tackle her to the ground. Then they sprint to the shelter, enter, and shut the door before the strangers can follow them. Then, Maya demands an explanation over the communication system. Tess insists they mean no harm, and explains that she and Lucas reside in a bomb shelter outside Philadelphia with 25 other people. Their air filtration system recently started failing, so they traveled for 3 days to find Darius. Tess claims to be a physicist who collaborated with Darius at the university, and she only wants to examine the system he created so she can replicate it. She even knows Maya and Zora's names, but Maya remains skeptical because Darius never mentioned her. Suddenly, Zora mutes the microphone and starts arguing with Maya about how to proceed. Zora doesn't want the people at the shelter to die, but Maya doubts the shelter's existence. After a heated debate, Zora convinces her mother to help, because if Tess can indeed replicate Darius's technology, it could bring about significant changes in the world. Maya instructs Tess and Lucas to leave their weapons by the door and wait on their knees. She emerges with her gun drawn and asks Tess to bind Lucas's hands, then she binds Tess's hands as well. Next, Maya checks to ensure they aren't concealing any other weapons before leading Tess towards the shelter. As they're about to enter, a man named Micah and tells them to stop, prompting Maya and Zora to open fire. Micah is injured, but he manages to tackle Zora into the bunker. Maya also runs inside and closes the door, leaving Tess and Lucas outside. Once inside, Maya and Zora point their guns at Micah and bind him as soon as they enter the main room. Maya then communicates with Tess, who insists this is all a misunderstanding. Micah is her lookout, and when he saw her tied up and being taken away, he thought she was in danger. Maya doesn't believe Tess and tells her to leave. Tess declares that she will obtain Darius's machine no matter what it takes. With a knife, Tess frees herself and Lucas, then announces they're going to use the drill inside. Maya and Zora attend to Micah's injury while continuing to debate the veracity of his narrative. Abruptly, an alarm sounds, and the computer announces a breach in the system. Zora and Micah attempt to view the camera, but Tess has obscured it with tape. Concurrently, she retrieves the weapon Micah had dropped, while Lucas employs a drill to attempt to dismantle the bunker door. Fortuitously, Zora conceives an idea and assembles a small device using various mechanical parts, which she then positions against the door. Upon activation, it emits an electromagnetic pulse, rendering the drill inoperative. Undeterred, Tess ascends to the roof and injects carbon dioxide into the bunker, drastically reducing the oxygen level. As the alarm blares, Zora and Maya scramble to don their masks. Maya departs to address the issue, leaving Zora behind to keep Micah at gunpoint. However, she becomes uneasy when he begins discussing his young daughter. After much hesitation, she decides to share her mask with him on the condition that he answers her queries. Micah vehemently denies having killed Darius and asserts that Tess genuinely knew him prior to the apocalypse. Outside, Lucas is supposed to wait by the door to launch an attack, but he becomes distracted upon spotting something in the garage. He drags Tess there, but before they can enter, the emergency lock engages. At that instant, Maya ascends to the roof and opens fire, forcing them to take cover. Within moments, the duo devises a plan, and Tess retaliates by firing back at Maya, while Lucas dashes towards the bunker. Inside, the air clears, and they can remove their masks, providing Micah with an opportunity to struggle against his bindings. Suddenly, Tess emerges from her hiding spot, feigning surrender. However, this is a diversion, enabling Lucas to ambush Maya from behind, initiating a fight that results in Maya's leg being broken. In retaliation, she strikes him with a mop, injuring his ear. Unfortunately, Tess catches her off guard from behind and renders her unconscious. Simultaneously, Micah frees himself and attacks Zora, who repels him by pressing her thumb against Micah's wound. However, Micah locates her weapon and holds her at gunpoint. Minutes later, Lucas and Tess uncover the camera while holding Maya hostage. Micah binds Zora and attempts to open the door, but he is unable to do so without the code. Suddenly, he begins to feel dizzy due to blood loss and collapses dead on the spot. Outside, Lucas threatens to shoot Maya if Zora doesn't open the door, but the microphone is still muted, and Zora is unable to explain herself. Fortunately, Micah's radio is within reach, so she drags it over with her feet and informs the group that she is tied up and Micah is dead. Tess demands that Maya open the door from her side, but she reveals that a special badge, along with a code, is required, and that badge is inside to prevent people from entering. Desperate to help her daughter, Maya eventually admits that there is another badge, but it is far away. She has a functioning car, so Tess agrees to accompany her, while Lucas stays behind to keep watch. During the ride, Maya explains that they are going to find Darius. It turns out that after he left to bury his father, Maya discovered a note in which he explained that the machine couldn't purify the air for 3 people anymore, but with only 2, there would be more time for Zora and Maya to figure out the seeds. This implies that Darius is indeed dead, and he didn't return intentionally. Back in the bunker, Zora instructs the computer to play some music, which Lucas appreciates. A few hours later, Maya locates Darius's body and takes a moment to mourn before finding the badge. The duo is ready to depart, but at that moment, the car runs out of power. Tess requests the badge, pointing out that Maya can barely move with her broken leg, so there's no way she'll survive a trip back on foot. She confesses that she also used to have a daughter, and promises to take good care of Zora, so Maya agrees to give her the badge and the coat before leaving. Tess promises to return for Maya when she has more oxygen in her tank. Then, Tess begins running back and eventually finds a bicycle in the middle of the city, which she uses to reach the bunker safely. With the code in the badge, she and Lucas enter just before they run out of air. Zora demands to know where Maya is, so Tess tells her everything, including Darius's sacrifice. Tess wants to go back with a new mask and get Maya, but Lucas threatens to kill Tess if she doesn't start working on the machine. With a drill, Tess opens a panel in Darius's invention and discovers a highly advanced system, so she has no choice but to admit she doesn't understand enough to recreate it. Lucas begins to lose his mind, prompting Tess to finally admit she lied. She never met Darius before. She only learned about him and his family because her radio picked up Zora's messages. She knows enough about technology to help back in the shelter, but she hadn't expected the machine to be this level of complicated. Furious, Lucas shoots her on the spot as Zora has a breakdown. Lucas sits next to her and points out that she knows enough about the machine in the bunker, so he wants her to teach him how to use it, yet refuses to untie her. Back to Maya, she sits in the car while contemplating her family. She notices she only has 21% of oxygen left, concluding nobody will come for her before it runs out. At that moment, she's shocked to see something on the ground. It's a little plant starting to sprout. She removes her mask for a second and confirms the air is getting cleaner, which gives her hope. Inspired to keep on surviving, Maya attempts to recharge the car's solar battery. At the bunker, Lucas throws Tess and Micah's bodies out to get rid of the smell. Then, he grabs a can of food, but Zora refuses to tell him where the opener is, so he smashes the can to open it. Zora calls him out for staying here instead of going back to help his shelter, but he doesn't care. Suddenly, the alarm goes off, announcing a problem with the cables. Lucas agrees to untie Zora so she can take care of it, but only gives her enough oxygen for a few minutes so she can't run away. Zora gets to the roof and puts the cables back together, only to discover it was Maya who messed with them. After a warm reunion, Zora tries to get back inside, but Lucas won't open the door because he wants to see her suffer. The duo then makes a plan. Seconds later, the alarm goes off again, so Lucas comes out and sees Zora unconscious on the ground. He throws dirt at her and starts praying, only to suddenly be shot by Maya, which damages his oxygen tanks as well. Then, Maya and Zora run back into the bunker, but Lucas manages to stand up and follows them. He passes through the first door and tackles them to get through the second one as well, causing the bad air to get into the shelter. As the alarm goes off, Lucas demands oxygen while threatening the women with his weapon. However, Zora points out that if he shoots, he'll cause an explosion. He lets them move to fix it, but instead, Zora and Maya go outside and close the doors, leaving Lucas in a broken room. Not wanting to die slowly, Lucas shoots his weapon, and the resulting explosion kills him. Outside, Maya and Zora survive thanks to the masks and escape in the car. However, they don't have much oxygen left. Remembering Micah's story, Zora drives them through the city and tries to find the shelter, but they find the doors closed and they pass out on the stairs. Moments later, Maya is startled to awaken clean and rested. The inhabitants of the shelter heard them and rescued them, and now Zora is sharing Darius's machine with them. With the survivors' assistance, mother and daughter collaborate to commence planting the new seeds and restore vegetation to the world. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.